Good morning, YouTube family. Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you might be. Welcome to Escape from Crazytown and welcome to Happy Crappy Hour. I hear that one of you, Obi, particularly, has a lot of happies to tell. So I'm excited to hear about that. I also read that you wrote your town tried scamming you and scammed himself in the process. Yes, that's when justice is done and karma does its work, right, you guys? Yeah, in the world of narcissistic abuse, we don't often see justice, or maybe we do. I don't know. You don't really want to stay attached to the narcissist to pay attention to that, but I do believe that karma does its work and their life is a disaster. There's nothing to be jealous of. There's no reason to hold on to them because they're only going to bring disaster onto those that they attach themselves to, but also onto themselves. So you guys, welcome, welcome. I want to hear about your happies and crappies today. But first I want to say good morning to the ones who are hopping on already. So John Bailey, good to see you. Dana, good to see you. And Obi-Wan, let me see if there's anybody else here. I got to scroll up a little bit. So that's pretty cool. So glad to have you guys here. Well, let's talk about our happies and crappies to start, but then we're going to jump right into what is this spell that the narcissist has over people, right? And you're watching, if your narcissistic ex already has filled, they probably have, their life with a new supply, you're watching that new supply thinking, how the heck can this supply be so stupid, right? How can they fall for this? But then you got to remember, you fell for it too, right? We fell for it. Maybe the new supply, though, is staying way longer than you did, right? But this brings me back to something I watched just yesterday. I finally got around to watching Dirty John, the Netflix special, right? Oh my gosh. It was insane. I just binge watched the whole thing. I think it was 8 hours, or at least 8 episodes, whatever number of minutes it was per episode. I don't know. But I got, I had already known some about it, had watched a documentary, read a couple articles, watched some interviews with the survivors, and I already knew some of the background, but they did a really good job. At first I thought they're portraying this guy far too normal. This is doing an injustice to those of us who survive narcissistic abuse. They're trying to make this narcissist seem as if he's a normal person and we should have sympathy for him. And sorry guys, there's a plane going over and I wanted to give it a moment to pass with the noise. But we look at things like this and we think, well, what the heck? Why are they making him so normal looking and as if we should be sympathizing? And they go into his background a little bit about his horrible dad who taught him how to scam people. And you try to make excuses for the narcissist, right? Is what I was starting to think about this TV series or whatever it's called. I don't know, the Dirty John series. And they come around to the later episodes to tie it all up for us. And what they do is they show you narcissists do come off as quite normal at first. They do. That's how they insert themselves into our lives. That's how we get fooled, because we don't assume that this normal, loving, kind, compassionate, articulate, intelligent, fun-loving, life-loving person can be a psychopath. We just don't. You think, well, this is not what you would imagine as antisocial behavior, right? But it's with narcissists, it's so deeply buried. Their manipulation, their ability to control people, their tactics and their skills are so so high up there that it's undetected by us. We don't detect it. Although there are red flags, they cannot stay in this mode for very long. I mean, even within weeks or a few months, each of their victims will say, oh my gosh, in hindsight, there was a red flag, but I just overlooked it because of all the other normal stuff. Just kind of made me think, well, that's just a glitch. That's an outlier. It doesn't really represent who they are. But with narcissists, you have got to see those red flags and those little glitches as the real them, and pretty much 95% of everything else that they do and say is the fake them. Anyway, you guys, I already jumped into a lot of it. I wanted to share that with you. But if you go on to Netflix, look up Dirty John, you'll see it. Season 1 was actually about John Meehan. And then season 2, still called Dirty John, is about Betty Broderick. And I was able to watch the first 2 episodes of the Betty Broderick story from that it's not on Netflix, but it was on YouTube. I was able to find it. Eventually, it'll make its way onto Netflix. Right now, it's USA Network, I guess, that developed it. So they have all rights to it, and only they are showing it. So the Betty Broderick story, the first 2 episodes, I was thinking the exact same thing I was thinking about John Meehan story, which is, why are they making her out to be somewhat normal, likable, even as if they're trying to make us feel sympathy for her, right? Like, she's the victim. We need to be sympathetic. And I hope that the later episodes will show the true psychopath that she became. I know there are people out there who are like, no, she was the victim. And, no, you guys, she was diagnosed. I didn't know this before I made my other 2 videos about Betty, but I did not realize she had been diagnosed with all 9 traits of narcissistic personality disorder, all 9 traits, not just the 5 that's required to be diagnosed as having NPD. She had all 9, and there are very few. And there's only one other person that I had, in the last 2 years, as I learned about narcissistic abuse, had I come across one other person that had been diagnosed with all 9, and he's in jail. And I think he's some kind of weird, crazy psychopath as well. So to have all 9 traits does not make you, I mean, you cannot have all 9 traits and be a victim. You are the victimizer. Oh my gosh, these people, it's like calling the psychopath a victim. And I'm not saying that they've never been abused or nothing has ever traumatized them in their youth, stuff like that. I get it. I understand that. What I'm saying is that as adults in their later life, they do all the victimizing. They are complete, out of control, crazy people. Anyway, you guys, kind of got off track there. I wanted to say welcome to you guys. Measure Twice, good to see you here. You said Dirty John and Betty Broderick. Yeah, all 9 traits. That was my ex-husband. Wow. Jihad, good to see you. Wow, says also my ex-wife has all 9. Isn't that insane? And when I go back to those 9 traits, it's in the DSM, I think it's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, medical school and doctors use to help them diagnose, right? But even the DSM misses the covert narcissist stuff, because they look at only the overt narcissists, right? The boisterous ones, the outrageous ones, and they don't. From what I can see in there, they don't really talk about the covert narcissist, because the covert narcissist is not going to be as overt as the ones we're used to, right? As the ones that brag about themselves and have to be the center of attention and all that. So I wonder if the DSM will eventually include covert narcissism, because these people are also crazy, but most therapists and psychologists will not diagnose them because they don't have all these other traits. Well, all right, you guys. And they can fake empathy, by the way. This, that is one of the traits to diagnose NPD, is having no empathy. But apparently a lot of narcissists know how to fake sympathy, empathy, they fake it. And so a lot of people would think, well, no, they have empathy. They're concerned about this person, or they say, oh, poor so-and-so, so they're convinced. It's all an act, you guys. Watch Dirty John. It's, I know some of you viewers have come on before and highly recommended it. And I thank you for that. I finally got the time to do it, to watch it. So let me ask about your happies and crappies. Obi-Wan, I know you said you had a lot of happies. Let me read here. He called and found out that I had more money and mad I didn't take it to the halfway company and took it to a real one instead and paid less. Try saying he's going to sue me. I called the police and they told me he's a liar and scams everyone. Yes, right? Like, oh my gosh, the police, they know, a lot of times they know who the crooks are. And I thank God that they warn each other. I hope they continue to do that, warn each other when these crooks move from state to state or town to town, because they have to keep an eye on them. Just reading some of the comments here, you guys. Yeah, Tina C, good to see you here. Says, last I looked over a month ago, he was devaluing the new supply. I looked 2 days ago and they're so in love again. She gave up her family for him. Now she's calling his kids her babies, right? This is what this episode of Escape from Crazytown is going to be about. It's about the spell that the narcissist has over the new supply. And no matter how much they devalue, abuse, ostracize, isolate, they're just so horrible to the new supply. And yet the new supply comes back to them over and over again. And in the story of Dirty John, it came out because the last wife that he had, her name was Deborah Newell. She went back to him multiple times. And that's the crazy thing, because even though her children had hired a private investigator and dug up all kinds of crazy stuff about him, like pages and pages of assaults and jail time and just extortion and blackmail and all kinds of crimes, him suing all these other attorneys. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the crazy part I did not know about Dirty John, was he would throw himself in front of cars that are coming to a stop, to a stop sign, and have them hit him. And then he would demand that the driver give him $300 or their premiums are going to go up. And oftentimes his friends said that the drivers would pay up, just give him the $300. But at least one time, maybe more, he took them to court. And the lawyer he would hire, this story is so convoluted, it's just insane. But I'll tell you it. Give me a couple minutes here. I'm going to tell you the whole story of this. When he sued this driver for hitting him, he hires this lawyer. It's a woman lawyer. Of course, he takes her to bed and they have this torrid affair together, right? So she passes his case on to her partner because she doesn't want to have this conflict of interest, right? So she's no longer representing him, but he moves in with her or she moves in with him, whatever, I don't know. They're together, and her partner wins the case for him. He gets this great settlement, and right after that, he turns around and sues her partner, but then also sues her, so that for malfeasance or something, so that he wouldn't have to pay their lawyer fees. Yep, that's Dirty John. That's what they do. No conscience whatsoever, right? And so he did this. You watch this story and you're just baffled, like, how can someone take advantage of another person and not see the pain they cause them, There was I hope it's still out there. There's some website called, what is it called? Something Busters, where they bust the scamming dating guys that are out there. So women will actually post about this online, about these guys who other women are telling, warning you, like, stay away from this guy. He's a scammer. He'll use you. He'll whatever, he'll lie to you. He'll cheat on you. So I'm thinking these sites are, kind of worthy. Anyway, you guys, we are going to talk about what is it? How is it that the narcissist puts this spell on the new supply, and also on you, right? I mean, you were there. How did this narcissist put the spell on you to the point where you wanted them back, even though they treated you badly multiple times? And that's happened to me as well. One particular narcissist in my life, actually, in different roles in my life, right? One was romantic, one was my parent. So, but each one, no matter how badly they treated you, you want their love. You want to go back to them. You want their approval. You want to be with them. You want to be acknowledged and affirmed and appreciated, right? And valued by them. And it doesn't matter if it's a romantic narcissist. It could be a parental or even a sibling narcissist. It's the same same need, the same desire. Somehow they pull us in. Guys, I have to put you inside. Sorry, guys, I just realized my dogs are out here and I know they're going to start barking. So I just put them in. Yeah. So, how is it? What do they do? What is the spell? The spell is slightly different, or maybe largely different, between a romantic narcissist versus your parental or friend narcissist, because they don't evoke the same uh, hormones or endorphins from you as a romantic one would. A romantic one pulls you into this fantasy world where they're the perfect woman or perfect man to your half, right? So you feel like, wow, no one matches me as well, no one understands me as well. And they connect with you physically immediately because they want to make that bond, they want to seal it. And that takes you even deeper than just the psychological and the physical, right? I'm sorry, the emotional. It now brings you into this physical realm with them where your body responds to them and you're pulled into this fantasy where they're going to do everything they can to be your dream man or your dream woman. And that's where, oh my gosh, you guys, I watch. Oh my gosh, I had to pull away from this for a while because it was just getting too negative and too verbally abusive, I guess, towards each other. I've watched some of the MGTOW stuff, men going their own way, and some of it is good, right? It's teaching men not to rely on a woman for their self-worth, which is good. Teaching men how not to be taken in by women narcissists, really. But they kind of start assuming that all women are narcissists, and that's not true. Just the same as women who assume all men are narcissists, that's not true as well. But so these MGTOW sites, they don't all call themselves that, but some of the sites, they go into talking about their perfect woman. And really what they describe is a freaking narcissist. And I'm like, well, no wonder you think all women are narcissists, because the ones you date are. The ones you target, the ones that you desire are the freaking crazy narcissistic women who are completely fake. They're completely self-centered. They value appearance and status and materialistic stuff. And they, I don't know, they act like they're your perfect woman because, oh my gosh, they act just like the way narcissists do to pull their victim in, which is they're the perfect woman. They're always happy. They're so helpful. They're so compassionate. They're so thoughtful. They serve the man's every need, right? So the guy's like, oh, she was just so perfect and wonderful and all this, right? And then come to find out she's some psycho narcissist. Well, welcome to the club. When you are trying to find the perfect narcissist, you're going to find the perfect narcissist. And that's no slip of the tongue, by the way. They are not your perfect mate. They are not the perfect man. They are not the perfect woman. They're the perfect narcissist. And we have got to run the other way. So you guys, let's go into some of the comments here because you guys are really hopping on. Good to see you guys doing that. Let me scroll down a bit and see what you guys are saying. Ooh, let me scroll back up because I missed some of this. Oh, yeah. Tina C says, boy, does my ex-narc have the new supply under his spell. It's sickening, isn't it? I mean, when you are on this side now and you watch it, you see every flag. You see every mistake, every misstep of the narcissist. But the new supply and flying monkeys around them do not see it. They excuse it. And the reason they do is like what I said at the beginning, because all the other stuff that they exhibit seems so normal. The other 95, even probably 98% of what they're doing around their new supply and their flying monkeys and fan club looks so normal and looks even impressive, right? Looks even admirable. So because they tell all their lies and all their stories about all the good things they've done and what they survived, and they garner all this respect and admiration, and then they slip up once, showing the real true color, right? Then maybe they have this rage, a sudden rage, and then it goes away almost as fast as it came. And people think, oh, well, that's weird. But then they cover it up as fast as they can. And you think, okay, maybe that was just, that's not the real them. But actually that crack in their behavior, that shows what was really inside of them. Everything else is just exterior. Everything else is just a facade, right? Oh my gosh. So yeah, when you're standing on the outside and you're watching the new supply totally fall for everything, and even watch when they're cheating on the new supply and the new supply keeps going back to them, right? Over and over again. You're like, what the heck? What is this spell that the narcissist has on them? It's because at this point, and the narcissist moves so fast within weeks, the narcissist will have their supply under their spell. And at that point, the new supply will do all they can to excuse any red flag that comes along and to dismiss any other people who come up with the truth and try to tell them, what happened to them, their other victims surfacing. They will then suppress that, just like Deborah Newell did with John Meehan, Dirty John, right? Her daughters came up with pages and pages of just incriminating documents on him. And she even also found out about it. She saw these papers herself. She found them in a file, I guess, in her home or at work. Yeah, I think it's at her home. And that he had kept. And even with that, and then she takes it to a lawyer to have a lawyer explain to her all these legal terms about what these restraining orders were, and all these things that were filed against him about blackmail and whatnot. And even then, as the lawyer is explaining it to her, she's thinking, well, could it be that this is the wrong John Meehan? Maybe it's, such a common name that it's somebody else, maybe it's multiple other people who are doing this, and then he gets the bad rap for it, right? This is what the new supply does. They want to rationalize away all of the red flags so that they can remain in the fantasy world, because the fantasy world that the narcissist lied about, right, and created for them is beyond anything they thought they could possibly live. And a lot of people will say too good to be true, right? This is just too good to be true. And honestly, let me tell you something. The fantasy world that the narcissist creates is nothing compared to the real thing, you guys. And that's why I'm even here talking to you guys about this. I don't want you to give up on your dreams about this beautiful life that you can have with another person. It does happen, but it happens in reality, and it happens with all kinds of problems. There's going to be turmoil, but when you become healthy minded enough, psychologically, emotionally healthy enough to handle a relationship, not just handle, but to be a loving, healthy contributor to the relationship. Now, you're not going to be perfect, and neither is your partner. Neither of you is perfect, so your relationship cannot be perfect. And by the way, perfect to me is not very perfect. Part of what makes a relationship beautiful is that you can be yourself, right? Is that when you do mess up, and you're going to keep trying to not mess up. I'm not saying like, oh, well, it's okay for you to continue to be angry all the time or to lose your mind over triggers and stuff like that. No. I'm saying that, but when you do mess up, when you do trip up, your partner doesn't leave you. Your partner is there for the long haul with you, to work through your trauma, to work through the pain in your past, to help you become a better person, because they don't expect you to be perfect, and you don't expect them to be perfect either. And when you have that kind of trust in a relationship, I think that's more beautiful than what people deem to be a perfect relationship, where there are never any fights, never any arguments, never any disagreements, never any testing of the relationship. Those relationships I don't find are, although on the outside, on paper, it looks like it's perfect, but in reality, there's very little trust in it. Like, you have to keep these walls up all the time in order to not meld, right? Not make it messy. And when you meld, when two people get together, it's going to be messy. It just is, because you're coming with each of you with your own baggage, and in a real loving, most beautiful relationship, you help each other work through that baggage because you both want to heal. You're not trying to take advantage of the other person. That's the difference with a narcissistic or toxic person or partner. They are there to take advantage. They're not there to improve themselves. They're not there to make your life better. They're in the relationship to take from you as much as they can to make their life better. So that's the difference, that's what we want to avoid. All right, you guys, I said I was going to go into these comments, so let me go in. Oh, okay. Obi says he tried doing all this work thinking he was going to scam another business. I kept telling him, I'm only giving you a certain amount of cash. Oh, you're my friend. I want to help. I can get more. I was like, whatever. I'm only giving you this amount. And then he called and found out that I had more money, and mad I didn't take it to, the halfway company, and took it to the real one instead and paid less. Okay. Oh, okay. And that's when he tried to sue you or say he was going to sue you. You went to the police, and the police told you he's a liar and scams everyone. Yep. I'm just going back. I went back too far, so I'm just trying to catch up here. Oh, okay. Dana says, is the show on Netflix called You, Y-O-U, about an narc too? I watched it. It's creepy. Okay, I don't know. I have not seen that. I don't know if is it a real story about a real person, or is it just made up characters? I'm not a whole lot into made up characters anymore because there's so much craziness in reality that I'd rather focus on real people right now, rather than made up people, because I like to take examples from reality because that's where we live, right? We live with, we don't want to, we want to be aware of how crazy reality can be so that we can prepare ourselves and protect ourselves. Yeah. Jihad says, my ex-wife fakes empathy in court and mediation. She acts like she's a loving, caring mother and would never do anything to harm the kids. Exactly. That's what Betty Broderick was doing with her kids. She kept talking about how much she loves her kids, and even her, I don't know. I don't know what kind of friends these are, but the ones that they portrayed them kind of narcissistic as well. The ones that stuck really close to her because they're the ones who sympathize with her narcissism because they probably were narcissists themselves. Other ones who tried to bring her back to reality, she discarded. She then called them enemies and considered them disloyal to her because how dare they question her narcissism, right? But her friends would say she loves her kids so much, she would never harm them, she's so good to them, this and that. But the reality is, yeah, she will harm her kids. She, I'm trying to remember if they were in the house. I don't think they were. No, they weren't in the house when she went to shoot her husband and his new wife, her ex-husband. But they were in the house when she rammed her truck into the front door of his house. So I'm thinking, if you care that much about your kids, then why would you ram into the front door of a house that they are in? They could be anywhere in that house when you rammed and you didn't know your truck was going to be stopped by the front brick, exterior. She probably thought she would be able to barrel right through. And if she had been able to barrel right through, guess what? She would have hurt her kids. So yeah, they do. They fake empathy. They fake like they care about their kids. What they care about is that the kids admire them, that the kids give them supply. Narcissists do not love their kids. They love the supply that their kids can give them, or they love the access that their kids can give them to other things, right? So Oh, yeah. Yep. Measure Twice says, it does feel like many narcs have all 9 traits, but my mother is a covert, fragile narcissist. So she is not obviously outwardly grandiose. And that's what, I think that hopefully the um, DSM will include in future editions, because I think they're on their 5th edition right now. They alter and they change accordingly as they figure out new things, but also sadly as the culture changes. Things that used to be a mental disorder, they're like saying it's not a mental disorder anymore because it's normal now, which is kind of scary. Sorry, you guys, but when somebody doesn't know that they're a 6-year-old, like a grown 40-year-old man thinks that he's a 6-year-old girl, that's a mental disorder. That is not gender identity, whatever. That's a disorder. That's a mental disorder, and they want to protect, or not they. I don't know. Some published. I don't even know where to start with this, but some physicians want to protect that, or some cultural movement is trying to act as if that's okay too. It's okay if you want to be something you're not. It's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but that means you're a fantasy and role playing. You're in a fantasy and you're role playing. But when you try to make that reality and you try to make everybody else treat you like you're a 6-year-old uh, little girl, which, by the way, this is the crazy thing about that story. This 40 something year old man who abandoned his wife and kids. Yeah, I think he had like 6 kids, became a 6-year-old little girl and got adopted by a family, like a couple who has I want to say a 5-year-old or 7-year-old daughter. Oh, it's insane. Insane. Well, this was a few years ago, so they're much older now. Um, oh my gosh. Yeah, the fact that this other couple would entertain his mental disorder and try to act as if it's reality, right? Now they're living in this mental disorder with him and pulling their real daughter into the mental disorder with him, and telling their daughter that he is only a year younger or a year older than their daughter. I'm thinking, now that whole situation is a huge ball of mental disorder. But this is my concern, is that our standardized medical whatever profession is going to start using or excusing mental disorders as normal, and trying to force us into believing that it's okay and we should accept this as reality. No, whatever's happening inside of a person's head, if they're schizophrenic, we are not supposed to act as if this is normal. And yes, there are spiders all over you. No, if there are not spiders all over you, we should not be acting as if there are, right? Whatever there, you guys, the delusion is, we should not have to live in that delusion. And that's what brings me to this whole thing about the spell the narcissist has over the new supply, because they require the new supply to live inside of their mental disorder. They require the new supply to live as if their delusion, the narcissist delusion, is reality. They expect the new supply to believe all their lies. And in the Dirty John case, he was telling his new wife, Deborah, that he had been in Iraq with doctors across borders, right? Or Doctors Without Borders. And he told her he was a doctor. So, of course, he fully expected her to treat him as if he was a doctor who had been to Iraq, who had been injured by shrapnel, who had, what else did he tell her that he had done? I'm trying to remember. But yeah, so she has to respect him and admire him as if he had actually done these things. Isn't that crazy? So even though it's all made up, she's required to admire and respect him as if he had done these things, which he had not. So that's what makes us feel like we're going crazy when reality starts to set in, because we're like, well, wait, what part is real? What part was fake? And he really tormented her brain, her mind, because he would tell her, yeah, all of that. Once he was found out, once she challenged him, once she left him a couple of times, I guess, he would tell her, okay, all that stuff was fake, but what I have with you is real. you know, my love for you is real. And that's where the new supply grasps onto the fantasy and hopes against all hope, right? That that part is true. But you guys, none of it is true. None of it is true. The sad part for in Deborah Newell, I think she is really brave to bring out her story, because I'm sure a lot of people have criticized her for staying, for not seeing, for ignoring her children, putting her daughter at risk, because he did attack her youngest daughter and would have killed her because he was attacking her with a knife. And oh my gosh, you guys, I can go off on this other tangent about The Walking Dead, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. She, you know, people will have criticized Deborah for all of these things, but I think she's really brave to have come out and told this story, because it exemplifies what happens in the crazy fantasy world of a narcissist and how far they can take it. This is why some of us, we've walked through some of this, maybe not to that extent, you know, where it came down to a life and death struggle, but it is a struggle for our mental sanity, right? For our sanity and for our brain. We're torn back and forth, just like Deborah was. She wanted to hold on to this fantasy that she thought she found this perfect man. Finally, all of her life, she worked so hard. She had all these failed relationships. Finally, she's going to be blessed with this one, you know? And he turns out to be psychotic, you know, turns out to be this narcissistic psychopath. And she doesn't want to believe it, even though the truth is right there, being presented to her by her children, by the papers she found herself, and by the lawyers that are trying to talk to her. She just didn't want to believe it. She's stuck, just like many of us had been. We were stuck. We were stuck being mistreated by the narcissist over and over again, hoping against all hope that this is just an outlier. This is just, you know, a small part that they didn't mean. It was a mistake, right? It was just a mistake that they made when they lashed out at us, or when they stood us up, or when they cheated on us, and when they demeaned us, or when they treated us so badly, right? That was just a mistake. And hopefully, you guys, not when they hit you. If that ever happens, get out, get out, get out. Because they need to work on something. They don't need to work on you. They need to work on them. And they don't need you to be there to be their punching bag while they work this out. Okay, let them work this out. And after they've gotten help, psychological help, etc., and you were meant to be together, you'll still be single, and they will still want you, and you will still want them. But in the meantime, you do not have to be with them. Anyways, you guys, let me see what is going on here. Yeah, Jihad is saying that his ex-wife fakes empathy. Monique Torres, good to see you. Says, yeah, my husband is Dirty John, LOL, right? They just totally take advantage of people. This is where we sit back and we lower our standards, by the way. We lower our own morals in order to stay in this fantasy with them, because they'll pull us into their sick, horrible way that they treat other people. And we think, well, maybe they're justified. Maybe they have, they're entitled to something here. And we give into it because we want to believe them. We want to believe that ultimately they really are good people, because we ultimately want to believe that they care about us as well. Well, here we go. Oh, Obi says that if no one called his parents narcs, they would have never introduced me to that term until they reflected it onto me. Oh, yeah. Wow, that's horrible. I don't even know where. Oh, did this happen with Betty Broderick, Jihad? I don't know if you were talking about what kind of loving mother would wish their kids to suffer. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, narcissist. Yeah. Obi says, I just gave up on my parents. With them, it is what it is. Exactly. With narcissistic parents, it is what it is. You're not going to change them. You're not going to suddenly have this magical relationship with them. But you can change, work on that. You can change. I know that I have changed over many years to the point where I resist and reject any narcissistic tendencies that I had learned. And not only that, I'm not bitter, and I'm not angry at her. I accept her for who she is and her limitations, but I absolutely do not expect anything. You just cannot expect anything from a narcissistic parent. You just take them for as they are. If you have a decent interaction with them, that's it. And for the most part, I can't even have a very long interaction. It's very short. All my interactions with my mom are very short, because if we go for very long, she falls into her narcissistic, crazy ways, and I cannot, and I will not have those types of conversations with her. So you are in control of that. You can still release your parents, right? And know and understand that they have these not boundaries, these limitations, right? As narcissists, and just release them. Just go like, well, that's who they are and what they're like, and I don't require them, or do I need them to be a parent to me, to be a loving, caring, kind, compassionate, considerate parent to me. And once you release that, then you're able to just go, okay, well, whatever interactions I have with you, it's fine. I'm sorry, but not the negative, abusive ones. Those you cut short and then you're out of there. There's no need for that. Cheater busters. Oh yeah, something like that. I forget what it's called. That website, something busters. I forget what it's called. Yeah, check it out. Yeah, Obi says all you can do is laugh days later when you cool off because of how they can't see how frustrated you are. Yeah, isn't that amazing? You're just like, really? They don't see how much they what horrible effect they have on you. Yeah, Measure Twice says romantic narc really revs up the bonding hormone oxytocin. Absolutely. And that, you know what? That bonding hormone is very hard to break, because that oxytocin, it creates, I don't know if it's like creates synapses even inside of you, but your body becomes, that's why I say your body responds to the narcissist, right? In a pleasant way, even though they're doing negative things. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Obi says, my happy is I almost got a new car. All right. V8 dual exhaust, living my childhood now since I missed it younger. Oh, that's great. That is fantastic. Dana, good to see you, says he is using his I Am a Christian Man front, leading Bible studies at her house for over a year now. Good luck, lady. So glad he moved out 7 weeks ago, even though I have been tough on myself. Oh, yeah. We do beat ourselves up because we're just mad at ourselves for not seeing it sooner and for being hurt, but yeah, they will use any front to get your trust, and it is all an act. That's the thing. If you should watch Dirty John, the first season, all the way through, they won't show it till the end, but they reveal how pretty much behind everything he did to get his wife Deborah, it was a total act, all of it. And it's just insane, you guys. I'm not saying like everything they depicted was reality, was real and accurate. They had to fill in some of the blanks and make some assumptions because of what they know about narcissists and how they behave, and also about him and all the evidence that came out about him. I don't know if this part is true, but they depicted some part where before he went to attack her youngest daughter, Tara, he went into the desert in California there and dug a, what do you call that? I think of it. Dug a giant hole, right? So you think, holy cow, was he planning on burying her there? probably. I don't know if that any of that is true or if they had found evidence to that. I'd have to go into some articles and find out. Or they're okay. Interesting. Yeah, when when narcissists get together, that just cracks me up. I know it's really bad. It's actually really traumatic and horrible, and it's a huge train wreck. But it kind of makes me, on the outside, okay, just very far away, I kind of laugh at it because I just think, oh, that's good because at least they're not hurting innocent people, right? They're scamming each other. When scammers scam each other and they both ah they just take themselves out of the game, out of our arena. That that's good for us, right? Anytime that happens, that is so good for us. Um, oh, geez. Measure twice says true. I rationalized away all red flags in order to stay in the relationship and not be alone. I was in my late 20s and very eager to be in a relationship, get married, and have kids. Yeah, yeah. This is the thing. Dana and Measure Twice are mentioning how even on Christian dating sites, narcissists, I mean, nothing's off limits to them, by the way. And in fact, they probably want to go into those sites because they know the women there are more trusting, more submissive, or whatever. I don't know. They know that the women are going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and they can play the Christian card, right? They can play the, hey, you're not a good Christian if you don't forgive me, right? So they can manipulate. They learn the terminology. They even get ordained, like Dana was saying here. It's insane. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. It's all an act. Tina C says now they have their kids in T-ball and trying to show the community that they're this great couple now and that the smoke has cleared since she left her hubby and kids. Oh yeah. Insane, right? They want to appear like this normal, loving couple. I mean, look at the Broderick story, for crying out loud, right? Everybody was like, oh, they had this picture perfect family, picture perfect life. He's successful. She's this, talented homemaker, took the kids to soccer. They were soccer parents, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It looked like so perfect on the outside. It was all an image. It was all fake. And I wonder if at the end of the Betty Broderick story in the later episodes, they're going to show how she manipulated and played all of that. How to her what was important was image and not so much the people in her life, but the image they helped her portray. And that is the life of a narcissist, you guys. Yeah, it's fictional. That's what Dana says. Yeah. Measure Twice says, it sounds like the new supply for your ex-narc, she's talking to Tina, is on a real emotional roller coaster. I don't envy her, and she is secret, in, in secret in misery, most likely. Yeah. Holy cow. Oops. For some reason, this is not, my screen's acting up. Tina says, I was only with him 2.5 months, and he had my emotions way twisted. I can't imagine living with him. Isn't that true? This is where it just, people who've never experienced it. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys, I happened to come across an interview that Deborah Meehan or Deborah Newell, she's Dirty John's wife, uh, or was his wife, I guess. She was on, she was in an interview with Kelly Clarkson, of all people. And when she explained to Kelly Clarkson love bombing, Kelly Clarkson is like, what? I don't know anything about love bombing. Does anyone know? So unless you have been introduced to what narcissistic abuse is, you won't understand what has happened, or you won't understand what other people, their victims, are going through. And it's not for lack of wanting to understand. It's just that they haven't been exposed to this yet. They just have not been educated about this yet. And so Kelly was kind of fumbling through the interview. I mean, she did a good job, but fumbling in the sense that she just did not understand what narcissistic abuse was. And she did not understand what narcissism was. She just didn't, she just, to most people, they're just like, wow, what's wrong with these crazy people? People just like suddenly they snap, they have this moment of insanity, and they have moments where they take advantage of people. They don't understand that narcissists, this is their whole life. Their entire life is taking advantage of people. And the few times, or actually even the multiple times, maybe many times, that they are helpful, or they're considerate, or they appear sympathetic, that's the act. That's the act. Anyway, Crystal Jean, good to see you here. Obi-Wan, I don't understand what this means. Oh, wait, hold on. Where did I go? What happened here? I missed a lot of things. Thanks, Crystal. Says, hi, everyone. Hope you are all staying happy and healthy. Yes. Spread that goodness and joy. Obi-Wan says, care about the supply? Must have said something earlier. What about a guy in his 40s but lives like he's in high school around grown-ups? Yeah. Crystal says, my 15-year-old is having a lot of trouble accepting that his father didn't really love him, because he would do fun activities with him, etc. Reconciling the good times with their horrible action. I know that really is it's a mind twister. It really is. It just bends your brain to the point of, and you have to keep your sanity to the point of almost feeling like you're going insane, because you cannot reconcile in your brain how someone could act like they love you but not love you. And that's what that show Dirty John really did a good job of portraying how this guy came into Deborah's life and did all the right things. And you're thinking, even her mother is like, I just love him because he loves my daughter so well. Like, she was convinced that this guy was in love with her daughter, truly loved her daughter, truly cared about her daughter. And as you know, if any of you guys are parents, you are very protective of your children. You don't get fooled easily, right? You don't give people the benefit. Well, sometimes I guess you do, if they schmooze you and they are able to fool you as well. But in this case, she actually believed that he loved her daughter. And her daughter actually believed, Deborah believed, that he loved her, even though she saw all the scams that he had committed on everyone else. But she thought, just like a lot of New Supply, is that she was special. She, it was the one that he truly loved. He used all these other people, but for her, he's not using her. He's willing to change for her. He wasn't willing to change for the others. So it's his love for her that is going to compel him to really change his life around and make things different, right, between the two of them, so that they can live this fantasy that he built for them. So the thing that's so amazing to me is that I did see an interview, the 2-hour documentary I've referred to multiple times before, is it interviews, in that documentary, they interview her and her daughter, not Tara, but the other one, Veronica. And they interviewed I think they interviewed the previous wife, and they interviewed a high school friend of his. So to get kind of like a better picture of this guy. But in that interview of the wife with Deborah, her daughter's sitting next to her, and her daughter's like, yeah, he was just a terrible person, and laid out all the terrible things he did. And you can see Deborah sitting there, and she even says something to the effect, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but I remember thinking, what the heck, this is crazy. She would say things to the effect that she really truly thought he loved her. Like, she was still in that delusion. She still felt and thought that, in his, even though he was very sick, even though he had, he abused drugs, even though he was a scam artist, even though he was a criminal, he truly loved her. Like, she wanted to believe that. And maybe she truly does believe that, right? Or at least then she did. This is many years later now. Maybe she's come to reality, right? Maybe she's come to terms that all of it was fake. Just like what you're saying, Crystal, about your 15-year-old, and he's only 15, I mean, Imagine having to go through that, and you don't even have the maturity and the experience to help you cope and see and stay bound in reality. So here's this grown woman gone through a lot of things in her life, and she still couldn't grasp reality when it came to love from a narcissist. She couldn't reconcile that, and I think it took her many years. And I think at this point now she realizes it. I think she does. I haven't heard her say the same things again. Watergrove, good to see you. Yeah, a man adopted a 6-year-old girl. Yeah, no, a man adopted, and his wife adopted another man who pretends or says that he's a 6-year-old girl. That's the crazy nut job thing. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So people live inside of the mentally disturbed people's delusions. And that is total crazy town, you guys. That's where I feel like a lot of times now we're being coerced into bringing crazy town into the public square. And we're being forced to live as if people's delusions are real. And that bothers me. That does bother me, because I know what crazy town looks like. And I know a lot of you guys know what crazy town looks like. We escaped it. And now they're trying to bring it into a public square and make it mass crazy town, right? Ah, so crazy. Hobie says, just when you think it can't get any crazier. I know, right? Yeah. Crystal says that cognitive dissonance is tough enough for adults to sort through, you know? Yeah, it's very hard. And for kids, Betty Broderick's kids, oh my gosh, 2 of them, I believe, at her last parole hearing, said they don't want her to come out. They don't believe. I mean, they know, they have a sense that she is psychologically not there. And I think it's one of her sons and her oldest daughter. And then the other 2 want her to come out. So they are unable to, they're unable to understand that their mom is mentally ill and cannot and should not be coming out, because she is not getting, that's the thing with narcissists. You can be mentally ill in other ways and get help and be cured. But narcissists, they are so steeped in their fantasy, they refuse to see that they need to change. They refuse to see that they can, or that they have any problems. And that's where Betty is. Yeah. Watercrab, I don't understand some of this. Disorder is everything that is not in order. Oh, okay. Okay, I get it now. There was some typos there. How can it be normal? Exactly. If it's a disorder, this is not normal. Cousin got jacked up in the Iraq war and never been there, except on top secret missions with him the president didn't know about. But he got a medical discharge before the war even broke out. LOL. I don't even understand how that's possible. Yeah. Oh yeah, Crystal says, such a heavy energy in the world, eh? Tough to get out from under it some days. Yeah, so I hope you guys come here, because, oh my gosh, you guys, when you can get together with people who are happy and upbeat and have hope, and I do still have hope. I know there's a huge heaviness out there, and it's psychotic out there right now. And you guys, I gotta say, the media has ramped up their psychosis. The media is pushing out, just psycho crap right now, you guys. The attack on morality, the attack on justice, the attack on, they're it's total crazy town. They're twisting everything. They're saying what's good is bad, what's bad is good, and it's okay to use, or it's okay to hurt innocent people if it's for a good cause, all this crap. that, what is the good cause then, but then they say that, and they try to convince you that a horrible cause is a good cause by disguising it as a good cause. So I'm not saying that some of the message out there is good, right? Some of the message out there is good, but they're using that as a front to twist us into submitting to crazy town thinking, which is everything is relative and there's no real truth. And where a 6 year, they haven't come out with this yet, but where essentially a 40-year-old man can say he's 6 years old and the rest of us have to conform to that. That's essentially where the media is taking us. And oh my gosh, you guys, we have to resist that, unplug from that. And that's what I've done. I'm trying not to get on Facebook except for maybe once a week or twice a week. And I do that. I don't even know if I should even do that anymore. I do that just to check on my relatives who are not in the same country with me, just to see how they're doing. I think I'm about to start messaging or texting them instead of going on Facebook. But I have so many relatives and they're in all different states and all, different parts of the world. And so texting every single one of them individually seems like it might be worth it, actually. Right? It might be worth it. Oh, you guys. Yeah. Free Spirit, good to see you. Yes. Good day, beautiful souls, you say. And good day to you too, beautiful soul. Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to curse 2020. Everybody's like, oh, 2020 is horrible. By the way, I think 2020 is probably the most magnificent year. I'm not going to say ever, but it is, for me, it is going to be a magnificent year. And that's what I've started speaking over myself. It's like 2020 is a beautiful, a magnificent, incredible year. And by the way, it's a year of awakening. It's awakening to the horrible evil that the media does to us out there. And I'm not just saying for the US, by the way. The media, there's like 5 or 6 people or groups, and they're very small groups, like 5 or 6 individuals that control all of the media in the entire world. So that tells you right there, total crazy town. They can create a fantasy crazy town and force us to live in it. But that's only if we plug into their constant barrage of insanity. It totally is, right? You notice this. What they say one moment to the next totally contradicts itself. And they target people and they become these vile, animal, hateful monsters towards a group they say are vile, horrible, hateful monsters. And I'm like, no, holy cow. I don't see those people being vile and hateful. I see you being vile and hateful. Holy mackerel. Yeah, you guys, just be careful of that. Unplug from it if you can. And I know you can. It's just very tempting to get plugged back in. Resist the temptation is what I'm trying to tell you. Resist it. Yeah, for those of you who are Christian, it says resist the devil and he will flee from you. And that's what we have to do. We have to resist. And by the way, it says to, why can't I think of this word? I'm so bad right now. To repent. People talk about repentance in the Christian world. It means to turn from evil. That's what repentance means. It doesn't mean like rehabilitation and all this stuff, right? Or renouncing yourself or whatever, and making sacrifices and all that. Repenting simply means to turn from evil. That's what it means. So when you know something to be evil and hateful and they're disguising it as goodness, right? And like, it's okay to be evil and hateful towards this group. No, it actually is not. It's not okay to be evil and hateful towards people, period, right? You need to turn from that. Turn away from that message. Because if you accept that message, then where does it end? Like, what will that group grow that you're allowed to be evil and hateful towards? Will that start encompassing more and more groups? And then suddenly you're evil and hateful towards all groups. You're like, no, it's not going to be good. I know. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off. That's the heaviness that's out there right now, and resist it. That's what I want you guys to know, is resist it. Unplug from it. Okay, I've mentioned it before, but I've been morally wrestling with myself This is Crystal Jean. Whether I should tell X's new supply about his perverted predilections. She has 3 young daughters. It's tearing me up. Yikes. I would say, yeah, you can say that to her, but is there a way that do you think that he would retaliate against you and come after you if you do that? Is there a way that gosh, when you're dealing with a narcissist, anybody who gets in there becomes a target. And that was the truth with Dirty John. Like, all lawyers became a target for him. Like, no lawyer wanted to go against him because, or even, they just acquiesced. Whatever he demanded, they gave him because they did not want to have to deal with him because he's vicious, vile, relentless. There's a saying that says, the most dangerous man in the world is a man that has nothing to lose. And even though a narcissist seems like they have a lot to lose, really in their heads, they don't. Because to them, they're willing to lose everything in order to destroy their target. Like, they don't care. There's nothing that they want in this world that's worthy to them. Like, everything is usable, everything is disposable, even people, right? They have nothing really to lose. So they will go all out to destroy their target. And in doing that, even their own life is, it's kind of weird, but it kind of is worthless to them because they will give their own life in order to destroy their target. So I guess the only thing that's worthy to them is hate. That's all that they have worth for is hate. And anything that they value, that's the only thing. It's very sickening. It really is. So you guys, sorry about that. Got kind of dark there. Measure Twice says, my only boundary in my 20s was that hitting was not allowed because this is all I knew to have as a boundary from TV shows on abuse in the 80s and 90s. Nobody mentioned narcissists then. No internet. That's true. That's true. And you know what? Even then, a lot of people didn't have the physical boundary. Like, they allowed for abusive people to hit them and didn't realize, they just thought, I can take this. And what's really hard and sad is that men were a lot of unspoken victims of domestic abuse because men were considered, well, you can take a punch, it's okay, and also they were shamed. They felt like, if I come out, then people are going to know, like, I got really beat up badly by a woman, right? And by the way, let me tell you, a woman can do a lot of damage, if she has a pan in her hands or a knife or, oh my gosh, come on, you guys. Yeah. Oh, wow, I'm really far back on comments, but let me see. Oh, okay. Oh, where am I? Yeah. Crystal says, I know, right? And mine never hit me. Slammed doors and kicked a hole in the wall once. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Watergrove says, but some supply actually know that they chose to be with a narcissist because of what the narcissist can do for them. Yep. So when they come crying about this and that, not being mean, but I laugh at them. I know, right? It's just, yeah, the narcissist, especially, oh my gosh, women and men who attach to a narcissist because the narcissist can give them financial security. And it's not even just financial security, it's like exorbitant financial, an exorbitant life. And they think, oh, this is great, this is the life. They're buying me a Mercedes or whatever, some car. They're taking me out to expensive restaurants, and they're just taken in by that. Yep, the new supply. Okay, so Obi says he bought a muscle car and his parents hate the sound of it when he pulls up. Crystal Jean. Oh, says Obi-Wan, you're going through a midlife crisis. She's just teasing him. Oh, yeah, right. You guys, let me tell you something. I'll give you a story. Tina says the new supply has a 13-year-old daughter who is super pretty, especially compared to her, that I would not trust my ex narc with. Yeah. And she had said earlier that maybe, she wants to tell or warn the new supply of the narcissist. Here's the deal. They know. They know. I know someone whose husband molested her daughter, not his own child, and from, I guess, her first marriage or first whatever encounter. And even with that, she's taken on another young girl into the, so her daughter's grown up and is an adult and wants nothing to do with her stepdad, and will not allow him to see her grandchild or his grandchild. But the mom, the wife, went ahead and adopted another girl, gorgeous girl, also same situation. I think she's like 13 or 12 years. I think she's probably 13 or 14 now. So she's getting to that age where he's going to get really interested. But she knows. So you guys, trying to tell them, all that does is makes you the enemy. So I did say something and now I'm the enemy. Like, okay, well, I didn't say it in a horrible, mean way. And I let them know this is a concern. Her know it's a concern. She was not appreciative of that. She was very angry that I would even say something like that. So there you have it. She's not the new supply, but she knows what her husband's capable of, and she's putting another girl in danger of that. So what can you do? There was never a police report filed. So of course, there's so many of these cases where police reports are never filed, even though they did molest their kids that were in the house. The kids grow up, they move away, they just want to close that chapter in their life and get away from it. And yet the spouse, the wife, brings in more kids. You're like, what the heck? Yeah. Ooh. Watercrow says, yes, I released mine because the narc hangs out with them and still brings my name up. Measure Twice says, escape from Crazytown. I am really grateful for these weekly meetups. It's really helpful to me to have this boost every week of sanity among friends with similar life experiences. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. Oh, Obi-Wan's talking about his midlife crisis. His original midlife crisis didn't go too well. Is that how you met the narcissist, by the way, Obi? This is what gets me with those channels where the men are hating on women and thinking all women are narcissists or something. And, they're even saying never marry a woman. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay. Well, yeah, you don't want to marry the narcissist women that you are all targeting to date, because all they want is great sex. That's all they talk about. I'm just like, seriously? So you think that that's the ultimate goal. And the dumb thing is, the dumb thing about those channels is that they have no idea what real great sex is, because the best sex that you can have is with somebody who actually can learn, by the way, to have great sex, and you learn together. And not only that, but you have this immense, incredible trust with one another. And therefore you can go completely unabandoned, and yeah. Not going to bring you into that any more than that. So that's all I got to say. I don't know why this is so weird. Sometimes YouTube holds back comments or something, and I didn't see anything wrong with this. Why they held it back for a review? Crystal says, these girls are all very pretty, and I'm sure he's love bombing them as well. He prefers female supply, and he's got the mama and 3 little girls all adoring him. Yes, I know someone just like that as well. Loves little girls, doesn't care for little boys. Yep. I mean, in that, he doesn't care to get the respect of little boys. He cares more to get the admiration of little girls. Yeah. So weird. Free Spirit. There's a documentary about Dirty John too, with the real life Debbie in it. Yeah. Yeah. I think I saw that documentary. That was the one that I'd seen a couple of years ago. That just made me think, holy cow, he exhibited every trait of narcissism, every freaking trait, to the point where some might have even felt like, he tried to behave like a fragile or a covert narcissist also at times, by acting as if, he was wounded, and, other people, his ex-wife cheated on him. I don't know. It's just crazy. They act the victim, right? Measure twice, laughing at Obi's humor. Oh my gosh, you guys, I am so far back on comments. All right, yeah, it's gonna go down a bit. Measure twice. Yes, I'm so glad you guys are all here, by the way, because of this. She says, this is what I want to incorporate in my channel, because Measure Twice says it right here. Humor is not optional. It's mandatory for my healing. Yes. And this is what I want to tell my viewers, is it's okay to laugh. I know at first you're like, it's a nervous laugh, or kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should laugh about this. But it's okay too to just burst out laughing at times, because you're like, this is so insane. Like, I just don't even understand how the heck this can be real, right? It's mind boggling. So all you can do is laugh. And actually, it is kind of funny. I don't know, I guess at that moment, it's really funny. I'm not laughing at anybody's abuse. I'm not laughing of how traumatic and horrible this can get. I'm laughing at the part where, you've made it out, you're healed now, you just look back and you're just like kind of surprised, right? It's sort of that surprise. How did that happen? How did I not see this? And you just kind of laugh at it. And also sometimes the way they behave, like the tantrums that they threw, the rages that they had. And back then you used to be afraid of it, right? It used to scare you to death. I remember having to deal with the narcissist rage and thinking, I was fearing for my life. I mean, no, in that moment, it wasn't funny. But now I look back and I go, what a crazy clown that narcissist was, right? You're like, what the heck? Why? I should not have been scared. I should have thought I was hilarious and left. Now, I'm not saying that the narcissist cannot be dangerous. They absolutely can be, as Dirty John and Betty Broderick showed, right? But that's why you just get the heck out of there. Get the heck out of there before it gets to that point. Yeah. Crystal Jean says, I have a girlfriend I met through a divorce and separation group. She was texting a guy from Tinder for over a month. They texted constantly. He was sweet and caring. There were some things that ... didn't add up to me. I told her she had to request a phone call or Skype call. As soon as she did that, he started squirming and making excuses, then blocked her. Yep. So she says, we're in Ontario. He was supposedly in Nova Scotia. Really good scammer. They uplifted her and made her feel good about herself. Just beware. Yeah, the scammer. Yep, beware. Oh. Oh, Measure Choices. I went on Tinder out of curiosity, and as a lark, a few months back. I thought I was ready for the narcissists that hang there, but wow, it was a cesspool of crazy narcissists and sexual addicts. Wow. Oh, that is creepy, you guys. I heard so. I mean, I think it started off supposed to be just a pretty innocent website, but I've heard it's devolved into something horrible. Phenomenal mommy. Good to see you. Says hello and facts. Yes, we do want to talk about facts. We're not talking about delusions here. We're not, we're not giving into delusions. We're not, yeah, using fake uh, stories about narcissistic abuse. We want to use real stories because that's how we learn how realistic it can be and how what the extent to which a narcissist will go. There are times where you watch some of these fantasy shows or fictional shows, and you think, okay, well, that's just fiction. It wouldn't really ever happen in real life. And that's why I like to use real life examples, because guess what? It did happen in real life. It's not just fiction. It's not just made up. Yeah. Ooh, oh yeah, that was horrible. Measure Twice talking about this show called Catfish, where yeah, they fake who they are and they date on sites, and these people don't even ever meet, and yet they propose, right? And sadly, people are taken in. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think I've told you guys this once before. I have a friend, and I can't remember the country now. It might have been Zambia or Zimbabwe, can't remember, but she has a friend from Africa somewhere, and she was asking him, what do they think? What do your countrymen think about Americans? And he said, you don't want to know, and she said, well, or he said, do you really want to know? And she's like, yeah. And he said, we think that Americans are very gullible, right? We trust everything we read. We trust our government. We trust our newspapers. We trust whatever group we're a part of, if we're in a political party, we trust that party entirely. We just trust, and without questioning, and we lose our ability to use logic. We don't even use logic anymore. They can flat out lie to us and then contradict their lie, and we'll still trust them. So that's with this catfishing thing. That's why I thought of it. It's because with catfishing, that's why so many people from different countries catfish here in the United States. They attack and they target Americans. And I understand they target Australians, people from Great Britain. What else? I'm sure they target people in France and all that as well, just other countries. But it seems like Westerners, they feel, are very gullible. So my thought on that is, third world countries have a lot of corruption, very obvious corruption, and a lot of propaganda. And they know they're being propagandized, right? Because the regime changes every decade or so. And so they are fully aware that they're being scammed. They're fully aware that they can't trust. Although, then they get to a point where they don't know who they can trust because everybody seems to be corrupt. So they're very skeptical. Then you come to the United States, and people are like, oh no, my group would never lie to me. I've been a part of this group for whatever number of years. It's like, yeah, well, that entire time, all those decades, your group has been lying to you. And they just can't imagine that. It's like, anyway, sorry, kind of getting off there. Oh, Crystal Jean says her ex has been on Tinder. Wow. Oh, I don't know why they're holding another one up for review. Okay, because we used the word sex. Yeah. When they're perverts, and somehow the new supply thinks that they found their Prince Charming, and their Prince Charming is a total pervert. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? So crazy, you guys. Watergrove, yeah, that's delusional. Thinking that a narc is going to love their children, but the stepkids are also part of the fantasy agreement. Wow. Oh. All right, you guys. So our time is coming to an end here. We're about 5 minutes out, and I want to give you time to wrap up. And there's so many great comments here. That's why I'm like, oh, I want to talk about all of this. So, somatic or sexual narcissist. I dated a somatic narcissist. His sexual prowess was his intoxicating power over women. He had been, oh man, with over 600 women, ugh, per his estimation. I would have been his seventh wife. Wow. Run, 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 run. That's all I can say. Oh my gosh. Water Grove says, good morning, Escape Heart. I'm just speaking to your commentary. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Crystal Jean says, it's scary because he can be so playful and fun. I know he can win them over easily. Scary part is he told me that he doesn't emotionally connect to anyone and never liked anyone else's kids. Yes, that is the inside look to a narcissist's mind. And I mean, I think even those of us who are here don't want to believe that that can be true, right? We want to believe that people can't be that heartless, but they really are. They just don't connect, and they know they don't connect, or I don't know. There's sometimes that I think people who can connect think that they're not connecting because they have this image of what connecting looks like, and it must look like this ideal picture that was drawn, shown in a movie or on TV, and they think, well, I don't connect in that way. Okay, those movies and TVs, they're kind of weird, and that's just strange. We're connecting right now. We're talking right now. We're sharing. When you connect with someone and truly love them, you might not have come across someone yet that you love, you can love in that way. But it makes, those of us who've had children, that's where I'm like, wow, that's how do I even put this? That's when I feel, and I think that you can experience this love without having children, but my experience came when I had my first child, which was this incredible love that overcame me. And I just could not, I would give my life for my kids. I would die for them. And that taught me, I would do the same for my husband. That taught me this depth of love that I never even knew I had. And then I was able to give that to my husband as well. Whoa, sorry guys, I almost knocked my coffee over. But I think that people in battle, people who've been in the military, who've been in battle, have felt that love too, where for their comrades, for their fellow soldiers, where they give their lives for each other and they hold on to each other's memories. They love their brothers in arms. That is a love, where you would give your life up for that person. No narcissist is like that, right? Narcissists will never ever experience that. And actually, even non-narcissists, a lot of us may not have experienced that yet. That doesn't mean you're a narcissist, okay? Just wanted to let you guys know that. But yeah, just responding to what Crystal had said there, that, yeah, narcissists, they don't like other people's children. They don't love other people's children. They like the supply they can get. If they're good with kids, it's because they know they're getting admiration and attention from the kids, but they don't really actually love the kids. Yeah. 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 I agree with you, Measure Twice. I'm not going to read it, but I agree with you regarding bringing crazy into the town square. That is why I want people to unplug, and I hope you guys are unplugging, because it is total crap. And then they use good people against good people. That's the other thing too, right? I'm not saying like all people who are on one side are evil and horrible, or who've taken one side are horrible or evil. I think that what they do is they take two sides, and they take good people from two sides, and they try to convince the two sides that they're mortal enemies and that they have nothing in common, and that there's no way they can compromise or create a healthy, safe, fruitful, whatever, strong economy world, or a country. They don't want you to actually have the power. They want to control us, so we're just puppets to them. and we're being used like we're on a chessboard. They're just moving us around. So be careful of that. Don't give into it. Don't give into the oppression, the oppressive hatred, anger. Just even the mantras they have, it's like you can guarantee it means the opposite, by the way. Whenever they give a title, this is what I've noticed for decades now, you guys. Whenever they give a title to a bill that they want to pass in Congress, they give it a title that you can guarantee is the opposite of what it's going to do. Okay, it's just the opposite, and it's going to destroy more than it will create. So anyway, yeah, you guys, I'm sorry, we are at the end of our time, but I do want to try to catch up on some. Let's see if I can get to the bottom of these comments here and let you guys wrap up some of your comments with each other. Yeah, right, Master Trice, I agree with you about all that. Yes, Crystal Jean, it is. Yes, Measure Dice. Thank you for joining me on this. 2020 will be a magnificent year for many of us for awakening. Yes, it is magnificent, you guys. Okay, I'm not going to give into this. Oh, 2020 is, trash or whatever they're calling. I'm like, no, 2020 is magnificent and beautiful. There's still so much good in here for us. And for them to try to convince you to throw away an entire year, no, I refuse. I refuse to do that, because this year there have been beautiful things that have happened this year, beautiful babies being born into it. Why would we throw away the year they were born, right? Why would we throw away the year that a couple comes together and finds love? Why would we throw a year where, another couple maybe comes back together after divorce, reconciled? And why would we throw away a year where somebody finds truth in their life and comes out of abuse and is healed? Why would we throw that away? Oh, the heck with it, right? Sorry, but I'm just like, screw these people who are telling you that 2020 sucks. It doesn't suck. It is fan-freaking-tastic. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Obi says, telling a narc they're a narc is like calling an alcoholic a drunk. Yeah. Wow. Well, you guys, a lot of comments. So sorry if I'm missing your comment, but I'm trying to scroll through really fast. Obi says, you guys are lucky I'm here to help you. Guys laugh. That's awesome. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Crystal's talking about her younger sister. Yeah. You can't help a narcissist. You just can't. They have to figure it out for themselves, you can do some things for a narcissist, but you can't bring them out of narcissism. I don't know if they can be. I think that those who act like narcissists, who behave narcissistically, they can be helped. They can, but they have to seek therapy. They have to want to help, find books and do the reading, do the work. They have to do the work to get help, right? And to help themselves. If they're looking to us to change their world and change them and fix them, oh, the heck with that. That's, they're shifting the responsibility, and therefore they're not going to change. They're not taking responsibility for themselves. Yeah. Okay, Tina C said something about that too. You never thought a narcissist was as bad as what they are until you got entangled with one. Yep. Absolutely. We just don't know. We have no idea. Or we've dealt with narcissists all of our life. Like, those of us have been raised by one all of our life. And we just never could understand why we couldn't connect with them. Why could we never reach them with logic? Why could we never have a real conversation with them? Why could we never reason with them? Why did they never say sorry? Why did they, you just think like you keep questioning yourself, like there must be something wrong with me. Maybe they are right. That's why they're not apologizing. And even though they're totally wrong, but then you're like, okay, I don't know, maybe and you make up excuses for them. No, maybe they were traumatized as children, this and that. You don't realize it's narcissism. You just think, you know, they're traumatized, they're held back, they're broken, blah, blah, blah. And it never occurs to you that no, this is just who they are. They're not just broken. This is who they are. And they refuse to change, refuse to help, get help, or yeah, all of that. So, well, you guys, I do not want to end on a bad note like that. I thank you so much for all of your comments. And yes, Watergrove, yes, 2020 is beautiful. Let's start saying that. The heck with all these, you know, negative people. Oh, who's this? Yuseo Leon, good to see you. I don't know if you wrote anything. Like Crystal Jean is responding to him saying, listen to the warning. By the time you find out about them, the narc has already warned them about you. Ooh. Yeah, the new supply never listens to. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Oh, Watergrove says, I know some flying monkeys that want to jump ship because because in my situation, they already have. Rissa Risk, good to see you. Found out the narc just got married. They look happy. Do they usually last? I feel hurt. It's been 6 months since we broke up. No, they don't usually last, by the way, Rissa Risk. And totally understand the pain that you're feeling right now because it's exacerbated by the fact that they moved on so quickly. I have a video on that, by the way, why the narcissist marries so quickly, or marries the new supply right away, or something like that. I'll put it in that little eye icon, or you can look it up on my YouTube videos. I think it's about the new supply. I think there's a whole section I have about the new supply videos. Yeah, because YouTube takes like 24 hours now for my video to load up to the point where I can add that icon and refer you to other videos. And if you guys have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Please ask other people to subscribe and bring them onto our website here. Bring them on, not website, but bring them onto our live stream. And also our website if you want to. That would be great. Some people are starting to hop onto my website as well and watching the same. I have the same videos there. So if you prefer the website version, you're welcome to go there. That also helps because I have some advertisement there as well. So blessings to you guys. I hope that you have gotten some sense of sanity here in the last hour and a half. I pray over each one of you guys a blessing and safety and joy and healing. And I wish you so much goodness in 2020. There's still so much goodness because you know why? Because we're still here, because all of us are still here. So blessings to you. Have a great week, and I will see you next week.